Good morning and welcome back to the C Morning Show, everybody. Today we have a very special guest who's talking to us straight from where he is in LA. Yes, indeed, it is Jesse McCartney. Here to talk about his new album, or new EP, I should say, with us on C today. First of all, Jesse, welcome to the show, and congratulations on your new EP, All's Well. First of all, tell me about this new album, and what is it like to make music in 2024 in general?
Yeah, well, thank you. It's nice to meet you, Satya. I am very excited. The EP is called All's Well. It's a collection of 5 songs that I wrote over the last year with various different writers and producers here in LA, and I'm very excited about it. It's sort of a little tip of the hat to music I enjoy listening to, a little bit of 70s pop, kind of reminiscent of a little Hall & Oates and DeBarge, and that was sort of the inspiration. And then, in terms of making music today, I don't think much has changed in the actual process. In fact, a lot of what I did for this project was reminiscent of that time, and the fact that we recorded all of the instruments live in the studio and, had a full rhythm section and horn section, and we did all the vocals live with the band, and it just gives it a very authentic feel. Aside from making music, I guess promoting music's a lot different now, right? With Zoom and with social media, that's the landscape has changed quite a bit there in terms of getting the music out. But the recording process is pretty much the same and has been since I've started recording 20 plus years ago.
I mean, I can imagine you using Hall & Oates as an inspiration, if you will. That's quite a throwback, man. And listening to your recent music, it really sounds like you're celebrating a new chapter, because it's quite a different sound to the music that you used to make, let's say back in 2004, for example. So where did this kind of transformation come from? And how did this also kind of affect your artistry? Did this affect your almost stage persona as well?
I think that as you evolve as an artist, you just you latch onto things that you enjoy listening to, and musical styles that you never thought of before. And as you get older, you obviously have more to talk about lyrically because you've experienced more things. But it's really not that deep. I mean, if I'm honest, it's really just whatever I'm feeling in the moment. And in this case, I think I was just feeling like doing something a little bit more rhythmic and a little bit more sexy, and something that I think a lot of people could sing along to. It's feel-good pop music, and so I don't really put a whole lot of pretentious thought behind it. I think it's just whatever feels good and whatever I think the listener's really going to love, and what I know I'm going to enjoy singing live on stage. And so I think this album is that.
Do you find yourself kind of like wanting to experiment in different genres as well?
Maybe. I mean, pop is always going to be my core. I don't think I'll ever really stray too far away from that genre. I mean, I think certainly I've written songs that have more of a country flair or more of a rhythmic flair, but it always comes back to, the touchstone, which is pop music. And, I enjoy listening to other genres for sure. But I don't see a 2025 rap album coming anytime soon.
That would be quite the diversion from your kind of unique sound, I reckon. But one of your new songs, is "Make a Baby," and it's received quite a crazy response. Obviously, making babies is a really fun activity to do. But did you expect it to be such a big hit? And was this? I mean, if I may ask, how was this kind of inspired by your relationship with your now wife, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah. I mean, it certainly started that way. I wanted to write a song about, that part of my life that is, definitely a chapter that we've been talking about and thinking about. And it's something that is certainly new for me as a writer, because, even 5-10 years ago, I was certainly not talking about that subject matter. So it started that way. And then when we got in the studio, it ended up taking on this sort of little bit more cheeky, playful lyric and tone. Because if you write a song called Make a Baby, if it's too serious, then I don't know that it's actually very palatable or audible. It's not fun to listen to. So we thought of a way of just making it fun, and the different places that you might try to perform, I guess you could say. And all the while I was thinking about Young Gravy, because he has this very sort of goofy, not take yourself too seriously sort of
right, of course, yeah,
attitude and brand. And so when I heard this chorus we were working on, I thought this would be even better with a Young Gravy, because it'll really lean on the playfulness of the song.
That's really interesting. And would you say that your relationship also shaped or your marriage also shaped the rest of the songs in the EP as well, in a way?
Yeah, I think this album and the last there's something very romantic in tone to a lot of these songs that I think only comes when you're in love and you're having the time of your life. And, the songs seem to pour out of you during those moments. And so I took advantage of that for sure. And you draw inspiration from things that you've been through and things that and things that are meaningful to you. And hopefully the idea is that the audience can relate to them. And in this case, I think they have. I think that these are songs that a lot of people that are my contemporary have been through. And so it's fun to watch the audience sort of grow up with you and have you grow up with your listener, because it gives you new material year in and year out to write about.
Yeah, I totally get what you mean, man. I myself am getting married very soon, and I find myself being able to relate to your EP quite a lot because of the emotions that you conveyed through your songs, But let's talk a little bit about your career overall, because 20 years ago is quite a while now, and yeah, man. And obviously you've had quite a storied career so far, and I can imagine it must have been quite a challenge to transition from being, a teen pop star to the kind of musician, actor, and career person that you are now. But what was the biggest challenge throughout that entire transition process, do you think?
I think just, credibility and being taken seriously. And I think my ultimate goal, when those bridging the gap moments were happening in my life, were just remembering that if the product is good and if what you're doing is good enough and you really spend time getting good and practicing and honing in on your craft, if the product's good, they'll follow. They'll stay. If it's undeniable, then they'll stay along for the ride. And there was no shortage of hard work and time and effort and getting better and really forcing people to take me seriously in a way, because there was a lot of music back when I was 16, 17 that could easily be scoffed at and laughed at. And by the way, no blame to them for it. A lot of those songs from back in the day were I wouldn't say, that prolific or, that important in the grand scheme of things, And so I think getting past the sort of cute boy singing music on stage, like that can be a bit of a challenge, and you have to, you just have to make sure the work and the art is good, and that you have great writers and producers around you to help crystallize those ideas. And just hang on, because it's gonna be a bumpy ride. When you start that young, it is a challenge keeping people engaged for that long.
Yeah, I totally get what you mean, man. When you look at your previous or your past work from, let's say, years and years ago, the way that I look at my work from years and years ago, I feel a little bit, let's say, embarrassment in a way, but particularly because looking at my own past work, it makes me feel like I can't take myself seriously. So I can imagine the kind of pressure that you must have gone through when you went through that in the past. But do you kind of feel that same level of embarrassment, or would you say that you feel quite proud of your past work?
I feel I'm still proud because it's a journey, and like I'm proud of the steps that I took. And certainly you can't know at 16 and 17 the things that you know now. I mean, it's very rare to have somebody be just, unless you're Prince, or Michael Jackson, or somebody that is, it's hard to be ahead of where you are in life, and so when I see young singers and songwriters getting pulled apart or ridiculed on social media, it's like, what do you expect? They're 18, 19, 20 years old. Like, how mature do you expect them to be? And so those things just come with time, and if you can endure and you can be able to, if you're able to sort of put aside all of the harsh feedback or harsh, all the critics, you can grow. And, you just have to have a thick skin. There's no question.
Yeah, totally get it. I'm not going to lie, this is kind of turning into a therapy session for me, man, but let's try to go back to the topic at hand. All right, obviously, one of the songs, or a couple of the songs that you've released from your kind of past, not technically past career because it's still in your career, but timeless hits, let's call them, Beautiful Soul and Bleeding Love, performed by Leona Lewis. Now, when you were writing those songs, did you know that they would become hits and still be listened to today?
No, of course not. And anybody that tells you that they do, they're lying to you, because that, if somebody had the magic chip, like, they would be gazillionaires and they would, live in infamy for writing number ones their whole life. For every writer, every artist that's had a number one, they've had a million songs that never see the light of day because they're just not good enough. You do your best, but Bleeding Love was one of those 1 in a million moments where the song was written. We thought it was really good. It did feel really good. It sounded beautiful. The lyrics were really, the lyrics were really heavy and emotional, but you just never know what's going to happen. Timing has a lot to do with songs finding their way, and that was a song that just was right place, right time. And those are the moments that you live for, obviously, as a songwriter, but it's not what defines my love for making music. It's you do it because you love it and because you need to do it to get it out, but it's not if you set yourself up to think that you're going to have a hit every time you write something, you're just setting yourself up for disaster. So, but yeah, Bleeding Love was a great moment.
Here's a question for you. Which of your songs do you think is the most underrated? Like the one that you would rate probably the highest, but and probably deserves a bit more recognition and popularity?
Oh, that's a good question. Honestly, I think my whole In Technicolor album was, in my opinion, just maybe a little ahead of its time in term. I think I was in front of where people thought I should be at that age, and I think I took a big step forward in my musicianship and craftsmanship as a writer with that album. But I was really young. I was still 23 or 4 years old, maybe 25. But it was an album that I don't think the audience was necessarily ready for, and but I think that whole album deserves a second listen. I think it was really well done and well produced, and the writing's really good. And I enjoy performing those songs live on stage, maybe more than any other album that I've ever done. So yeah, I would probably say that album. But I forgot to answer your question about, do I think songs, is it crazy, or do you ever think they're going to have the lastability that they have? And Beautiful Soul is a great example of that, where I never in a million years, when I put that song out, think that 20 years later it would still be a part of American culture, and in a lot of ways culture around the world, because it's one of those songs that's definitely stood the test of time. And now I perform at shows and I see young kids, 7, 8, 9 years old, their parents are bringing them to the show and they're singing along. So it's a song that's definitely crossed into a new generation, and you never ever know that that's going to happen. It's a pretty special thing to happen, especially in pop music.
Speaking of which, what would you say, or would you say that you have a message, or what do you hope to convey to your fans and indeed to the audience through your new music, or perhaps other aspects of your career that you'd like to pursue in the future?
Well, I would say just stick around for the ride. I do feel like my growth is something I'm super proud of, and I think is the best is still yet to come. I think I'm really hitting my stride right now, and I feel like I'm in my prime in terms of writing and making music. And I think as long as they will listen, I'll keep churning out new songs and new projects. And I'm gonna stick around. I'm here to stay. This is what I love to do, and I think I'm getting pretty good at it. And as long as, like I said, as long as they're there to be there in the audience, I'll be up there on stage.
Jesse, thank you so much for your time and doing this interview with us at Seat today. Best of luck with your career. Best of luck with this new EP. And of course, I hope you have a great day as well.
Thank you so much, Satya. Great interview, by the way. Wonderful questions.
Thanks, man. All right, and that was our interview with Jesse McCartney. What a really great conversation about his life, his career, and of course the inspiration for his new EP, All's Well. But that doesn't mean that is the end of the show, because of course we have more from the C Morning Show, so stay tuned on See Today.
She in the chauffeur, she never gets there on time. Champagne floats, caviar toast.